what would happen if an Omega Semaster and a Rolex Submariner had a son that they would be really ashamed of? Well, this would happen. The Starking AM0284. And as you can see, it's a bit of a mishmash of Rolex Submariner and Omega Semaster, as it has the case and general appearance of a Submariner and the dial and hands of a Seamaster. So today we'll be looking at the packaging, we'll be looking at the case finish, dial finish, we'll be looking at the movement accuracy report, we'll be looking at the lume, and of course the positives and negatives. And if you like this watch, there is a link in the description below, so you can go ahead and buy it and help the channel by doing so. So the watch comes in this pretty classic and pretty well done cardboard box signed Starking, with the Starking wheel logo, the name of the company in English and in Chinese. The pretty nice touch is that this box slides open, and here you can see the watch, and you also get a little hand tag with the serial number, the model number, and the price of the watch. So 1,880 yuan is about 238 euros as of today's exchange rate, and I assure you, you will not be paying that much for this watch, neither should you. Okay, let's start by the dimensions. And this watch, being partly a Rolex Submariner homage, is 40 millimeters in diameter, 13.5 millimeters in height, 48 millimeters in lug to lug, and 20 millimeters in lug width. The bracelet tapers from 20 to 18 and back to 20 at the clasp. The construction is all stainless steel, the case, the crown, and the bracelet, and I believe the insert is aluminium. So the watch weighs about 140 grams, and it's pretty comfortable on the wrist. Let's start by describing the dial, and the best way we could describe it is that it's a copy of the wave dial from the first generation Seamaster. It even has double markers at 12. And that dial is pretty well done. Don't expect Omega Semaster, even first generation levels of finish. And it plays well with light, and it can sometimes appear dark blue, and when it's in the sun it can appear vibrant blue. And the hands are very reminiscent of the Omega Semaster, with the skeletonized hands and the same second hand as the Omega Semaster. The crystal is a mineral crystal, and taken from the Submariner family tree is the Cyclops at 3. And I must say that the Cyclops is lined. The magnification is pretty low, I would say 1.5 times. So here's a lume video. It's not great, as you can see, but were you expecting anything better for this price? And here it is compared to the Pagani design, and you can see that it's a bit brighter than the Pagani design, especially on the indices. And here it is compared to the Seiko Monster, just so you can see what good lume looks like. Let's move to the case, and the case has some pretty decent brushing. The top of lugs are radial brushed. It's not very impressive, but for the price of the watch, it's a pass for me. The sides of the watch are polished, and the crown is signed with the Starking wheel, and it's pretty well signed, as the Starking wheel is engraved, and that is pretty well done compared to the rest of the watch. And the bracelet is an oyster style. It features polished links at the center and brushed at the sides, and the links are also polished on the sides. The links are solid, but the end links are hollow, and it's only a pressed clasp. The clasp closes pretty well, but for the fold-over mechanism that is a bit light, it is compensated by the friction clasp that is pretty hard to open. Okay, and the star of the show is that NH35A movement, or the Seiko 4R35. And this is the typical Seiko, 24 jewels, hacks and hand winds, 40 hours power reserve, and it has a reliability of around -30 to +40 seconds. We'll be checking in the time grapher the actual accuracy of this one. So the accuracy is not bad, with a -2, -3 deviation per day, flat on its back. So positives and negatives. You know I'm a positive guy, so let's start by the positives. And the first positive is the price for what you get, the value for money. You have an NH35 movement, you have a stainless steel watch that is pretty well made for only, I paid 57 euros. So that is quite a bargain. When you compare it to a Pagani design, it can hold its own, knowing that it's about 20% less expensive than the Pagani design that has the same movement, but sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel insert, and a much better bracelet. I would still recommend the Pagani design. If you don't want to spend 70 to 90 euros on that, you always have this option. Second positive would be that dial. That dial plays well with the light and is pretty well done for the price point. Third big positive would be that movement. And at this price point, the NH35A is wonderful, and as you have seen, it is very accurate. But there's also many negatives, and let's start at the beginning of the process when you go and browse AliExpress for the watch. Seldom have I seen so many lies. For example, it says that this watch is 11 millimeters thick. You can see that it's more like 13.6. It also says that the crystal is Hardlex. Hardlex is a proprietary mineral glass from Seiko, and I really doubt that Starking are using this Hardlex crystal. And then there's all the pictures that make it look like the watch has a sapphire insert and that it's much better finished. And then there's the Lume shots that are not at all what you get with this watch, as you have seen on the Lume video. Another negative would be that bracelet. Not that I can hold that as too much of a negative at the price point, but I believe that they could have done a bit better. And the thing that I don't like about this bracelet is this little tongue that protrudes here and catches on things, as you can see. So all in all, would I recommend this watch? To be honest, if you can stretch it a bit more, if you can put 20 euros more, I would definitely go for the Pagani design. And this is the 43mm version, but there's one at 40mm. So with a much better bracelet, with sapphire crystal and with a ceramic bezel insert, same crappy Lume, but with better materials and better made for 20 euros more, the Pagani design is a much better alternative. But if you cannot stretch it there, this watch is not bad for a 60 euro watch. More than that, I would not pay. But for 60 euros, it's pretty decent. That's it for me. Please leave your comments, questions and others. I'll be glad to respond to them. And of course, don't forget to like the video if you find it useful and to subscribe to the channel. It really does help. So thank you very much. I'll be seeing you on the next one. Goodbye.